Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards in that series as it shifts, like Rob is doing right now with the Steadicam, to the Twin Cities. We are knocking on the door of, is having Victor Wembanyama on your team unfair to everybody else? Though Wemby 0-4 in his career at the Timberwolves in Minnesota. He was a wall defensively. That's a block. He had a handful of them, 5 total on the night. Wemby just disrupting everything. I mean, what are you supposed to do with 7'6" and wingspan like a condor out there, just blocking everything, elevating, and oh yeah, he's got some offense too. But Anthony Edwards, I mean, listen, they say youth is wasted on the young, but this young man bouncing back just less than 2 weeks after that knee hyperextension, hits a triple right there. It's 23-19, and then just before the end of the first quarter, pull! Anthony Edwards cashing that. 12 points in the final 2 minutes of the first quarter for just Ant-Man himself, who went north of 30 points, though nobody else on the Timberwolves scored more than 17. Let's go to the fourth quarter. Victor Wembanyama, taller, lankier, more finessier than yours. Oh yeah, and also he's got range. Hits the triple, 70% shooting from the field for Victor Wembanyama. Again, not fair. 16 points in the fourth quarter, and the Spurs get the win. They're up 2-1 in this series. It's just not fair. Quentin Richardson on the program joining us now. Q, Victor Wembanyama, Hakeem, Shaq, and Kareem, the only ones since blocks became official in 1973 to have 35 points, 15 boards, and 5 blocks in a playoff game. You watch what Wemby is doing, and he's still rounding into form. But you're seeing what he's doing already, and you think what?
I think to answer your question, in another year or so, it will be unfair to have Wembanyama on your team. Like what he's becoming so quickly, like we saw him come in, this rail thin kid with so much potential, and we watched him in 1-2 years just take huge, not strides, but leaps every year and getting better with his offensive game, with his defensive game, with his mentality, filling out his body, getting stronger. It's literally nothing he can't do out there on the court. So it's just a matter of time before all things continue to line up and he gets to such a powerful strength that like he's literally running around there like Thanos and nobody can do anything about it.
It's funny you mention that because he's still lanky and he's still just a kid. And after last night's win, he said, you know, the Spurs collectively, we haven't even tapped into half of our potential. That is scary. All right, let's go to the Eastern Conference side of things. The Knicks look like they have this series figured out and wrapped up. So we're going to ask the question, what chances are you giving the Knicks of winning the championship this year?
Listen, I love the way the Knicks look right now. I feel like this is one of the greatest opportunities for them to get the win. But, like, I definitely feel like this 76ers series is a foregone conclusion. But before I go crown Knicks the king of the East, and yes, I am once a Knick, always a Knick, it's a team over there in Detroit that's looking pretty damn scary. And Gary, let's just think about this. This season, when the Knicks played those Pistons, there's possibly going to be waiting for them. They beat them by 31, 38, and 15. So while the Knicks definitely look different than I feel like they looked earlier in that season, they playing different ball. And I still got a lot of faith in the Knicks. I got to see them do it against those Pistons before I just give that title to them.
Listen, man, credit to where it's due. The Knicks, they are cohesive, they're having fun, and they are playing some darn good basketball. ESPN projections give them a 20% chance to win it all. Second only to the defending champ Thunder, 45% chance to win it. QR hanging out with us all morning long. Q, much appreciated.
You won tonight?
Oh, no, the Thunder are good and they're cocky. Quentin Richardson is back as promised. We scan the NBA for the best stories. It's time for the QR code. Q, let's start there. The code the Lakers must live by if they have a chance to win Game 3. What is it?
No doubt. Obviously, they need another big-time scoring game from A.R. Reeves like that. He came out, led them, and he looked like the Austin Reeves from the season. They could use another game like that for sure. Still need LeBron to be LeBron like he's consistently been. But I look at the others, man. You need big games from Rui, from Luke Kennard, from Marcus Smart. You need them to chip in big ways. And you need Ayton to have some type of presence offensively. He's done better on the boards, but he needs to do something offensively. And lastly, their defense needs to be on point. The doubling, the way that they're having SGA struggle, and he's been okay, but he has not been SGA this series. So you got to take your hat off to JJ and the staff, and actually the players for executing the scheme they came up with, but they got to keep that defense up.
It's scary to see that the Thunder continue to win when SGA doesn't have to go full Voltron. He only played 28 minutes last game in a Thunder win. All right, the early one today is the Pistons taking on the Cavs. Detroit, they were down, it feels so long ago, 3-1 to Orlando. They've won 5 straight since. In your eyes, Q, what changed?
I feel like when they got to the brink of elimination, 3-1, the Magic had them on the ropes, and they saw their season's mortality on the line. I feel like since that moment, they played with a greater sense of urgency as a team overall. Their defense have stepped up. The guys have stepped up individually, offensively. Cade Cunningham has been the one constant, but also now you have Tobias Harris. And salute to Tobias, man. I was in Detroit for his first stint before he left, and he came back for this stint. Professional, perfect pro, and just to see him doing what he's doing is awesome, man. He's had 7 straight games of 20-plus points, and he's become the second guy on this team. And right now, in this Cavs-Pistons series, Tobias is the 3rd best player in the series by production after Cade and Donovan, and that says a lot.
The Pistons up 2-0 in the series, though the Cavs, because it's in Cleveland, favored by 4.5 points today. We'll see how that plays out. Quentin Richardson joining the program on SportsCenter. Q, thanks.
No doubt.
And before you make a play today, we got to hear from Aaron Dolan on SportsCenter. EKD, what's the move in the Pistons and Cavs?
So I'm looking at Cade Cunningham to go under 27.5 points. He's averaged 24 points so far through those first 2 wins, but Cleveland hasn't necessarily allowed him to go off the way that we saw against Orlando in the previous round. And a lot of that came down to the fact that they were in a hole, and towards the end of that series, he really had to put up 30-plus point performances. He's not in that same situation today. They are up 2 games with this series heading to Cleveland, and Cleveland's a place where they've won every single game at home so far in this postseason. So when we look at his points prop, we've seen it as low as 26.5, as high as 28.5. So this is right there in the middle, but I'm going to go under on Cade today of 27.5.
Yeah, he's been right at 25 a couple of times. All right, let's go out west. The Thunder, 8.5-point favorites against this Lakers team. It's a lot on the road in L.A. How are you approaching this one?
It's a big adjustment in terms of the spread, but I would still lay the 8.5 points. I think there's value there. If you look at the last 2 games, I mean, they were laying 15.5 points, 16.5 points, and they won both of those games and also covered the big digit spread. And on top of that, if you just go back to last game, I mean, the Lakers, they pulled it close within that 4th quarter. They were within 5 points, and still OKC won and covered. They are outmatched in every single category. That is the Lakers. But I just think that even though this is at 8.5 on the road, that's one of those spreads that I would lay because OKC is just a way better team.
Average margin of victory in the regular season was 29 points per game. All right, OKC has just been scoring at will. Aaron, how can we get in on that fun?
I'm looking at SGA to go over 29.5 points. I've been backing this guy up over the last 2 games, so eventually I feel like he's going to have a big scoring performance. But look, he struggled. We're not going to come on here and say that he hasn't so far. I mean, 18 points in game 1, 22 in game 2, but he's not a bad scorer by any stretch of the imagination. And last game, obviously, he got into some foul trouble. So knowing that this has been adjusted actually up from what we saw in game 2, eventually SGA will have a big scoring performance. And considering I like them and like
Hey, a little more live television, depending on when you're watching this. Neither here nor there. Spurs trying to take back home court advantage in this playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, Victor Wembanyama 0-4 in his career when they play in the Timberwolves building. Evidently took that personally. I don't know what statistician told him about this, but he apparently defensively was going to make his presence known. Blocks all over the place to the point where not even Chris Finch could complain about them being goaltending on the backside of this game. T-Wolves shot 2 of 14 with Wemby on the floor in the first quarter.
That one's close.
That's fair. I will acknowledge that one. However, Ant-Man wasn't here to play no games, neither. 30 seconds left in the quarter, steps into that 3 and drills it to bring Minnie back within 4. And then in the final seconds, a little heave. Pull up proper. It's good at the buzzer. Edwards scores the final 12 points for the T-Wolves in the first. So clearly the tone established that our superstars are going to be battling in this one. In the fourth quarter, it was Wemby. 3 minutes in, Spurs up 6. Wemby off the offensive board gets it to go to put San Antonio up 8. 9 minutes to go. Wemby from distance, keeping the Wolves at bay, and then 3 minutes to go. Another deep three from Wemby. 16 of his 39 in the fourth quarter alone. Spurs take the 2-1 series lead. Here's Wemby.
It was more like holding the ship together. We had a lead. We didn't need to rush. We needed to be consistent. Rather than doing incredible things or amazing things, we needed to avoid mistakes. And that's something really, situations we haven't really been in, or I haven't. But I know it's going to happen in the playoffs.
Wemby recorded his 5th straight playoff game with a double-double and 2 blocks in the last 20 seasons. That's the second longest streak in Spurs postseason history, behind only the big fundamental Tim Duncan's 8-game streak in 2007 when San Antonio wound up winning the chip.
About it on the internet, you open up Twitter, they're like, aliens, aliens, and it's just video of Victor Wembanyama going absolutely crazy. Which he continues to do as this series shifts to the Twin Cities. The Spurs trying to take a 2-1 lead over these Timberwolves of Minnesota. Minnesota missed their first 12 shots, and, well, the Spurs didn't. Wemby flushes that, and then part of a 5-block performance, just, get out of there. Wemby protecting his area all across the country. You have to sign a lead paint and a Wemby in the paint disclosure before you buy a house. It's absolutely crazy. And then you get Anthony Edwards. He hits the triple right here just before the end of the first. Pull to bring the T-Wolves to within 1 point. All right. Anthony Edwards, a 30-point performance for the Timberwolves, but nobody else on his team scored more than 17. We got an offensive rebound, and then it's Julius Randle throwing it down. But on the other end, Steph Castle to Victor Wembanyama, who barely has to get up off the floor. We are tied at 51 at the half. Wemby had 16 points, 2 blocks in the first half. We go to the second. It is more Wemby setting the screen, gets the ball left for him. 30 points on 70% shooting from the field.
Jeez.
That's Victor Wembanyama. Yes, the alien files continue to go deeper and deeper. Spurs up by 6, but Ant-Man keeping this thing semi-close. And by semi-close, it's just a 2-score game after Wemby goes off the glass right there, like the big fundamental. He said after the game, we're just trying to hold the ship together. We had a lead. We didn't need to rush it, even though we were on their home court. 16 points in the fourth quarter for Victor Wembanyama, puts the Spurs up a snowman later in the fourth. Rudy Gobert, the offensive rebound, the putback, the hoop, the harm. T-Wolves down 3 after the made free throw. 3 minutes to play. The deficit is still 3, but it was just too much Wemby. 39 points, 15 boards, 5 blocks, and a win, and a series lead. And Wemby says they're not even close.
I think we haven't done anything yet, but not even halfway of the work in this series. I think we showed some strength, during this game, some relentlessness, but we still got to prove to ourselves that we can sustain that.
I mean, they got somebody who's 7'6" on the floor, and he takes up a lot of space. So just trying to, figure out ways to find an open man around him, because in the paint he's just everywhere. So just trying to, like I said, find ways to find somebody who open. Yeah, I feel like we had a good dose of that throughout the whole game. I think, like I went in the locker room and told the guys, like, we had a bunch of great looks. I feel like we had a bunch of great looks, and if we make our shots, we win this game.
Victor Wembanyama became the 4th player in NBA postseason history to score 35 points, grab 15 boards, and block 5 shots. Look at the other 3. Come on, man. Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, champion. Hakeem did it 3 times. Shaq did it 3 times. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did it twice. Meanwhile, with just over 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Timberwolves coach Chris Finch got into a heated discussion with official Tony Brothers. Spot shadow there. Finch upset because he wasn't granted a timeout from Brothers in what he thought was a timely manner. Brothers didn't appear to appreciate Finch's demonstrative reaction, walked towards the Timberwolves huddle to say a few words of his own, Finch addressing the situation after the loss.
Pretty unprofessional, huh?
Well, you could just kind of tell us
I wanted the
happened.
timeout.
Yeah.
And I had called it 3 seconds earlier, and I wanted the timeout, and I said I want my 3 seconds back. And so, and because he clearly heard me, he looked my way, ignored me, went on with the play, and then gave me the almost cost us a turnover. And then he lost it. Then I went to ask him where the ball was going to be taken in, and he was screamed at me for that. So completely unprofessional behavior by him.
Back-to-back nights, 2 different series where we've seen refs not scared to mix it up with the players and clearly the coaches as well.
Rare that you see a referee have to be restrained.
Yeah,
that was different in the postseason when everybody's watching.
From Mr. Silver.
When everyone's watching. We're all watching the festivities in the Eastern Conference. Let's go down to Philadelphia, where the MSG faithful were right at home. Thousands of Knicks fans getting their hands on tickets bars. Joel Embiid is back, and the Knicks were glad to see him. He's dealing with some ankle and some hip issues. Mitchell Robinson. Oh, Mitchell Robinson. Just washed him in the nourishing agua of Lake Finn to dunk on you.
In there.
The Knicks are shooting 55% with Embiid as a primary defender in this series. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, and then nobody's stopping Jalen Brunson. Averaging better than 35 a game in his playoff history of late against the Sixers. He had a trio of triples. Mikal Bridges turning defense into offense. Bridges and Brunson each with 15 in the first half. Bridges is averaging better than 21.5 points per game against the Sixers in the playoffs, his highest scoring average against any opponent. Brunson will put it on anybody. Knicks are up by 9 after the free throw. He extends his franchise record, 24th 30-point playoff game in a Knicks uniform. Embiid had an 18-point night. Again, limited with the ankle and the hip, but got those to go. 18.6 rebounds, 5 dimes. There was no OG Anunoby in this game. He was dealing with a hamstring issue. So Landry Shamet off the bench, 15 points. Sixers bench didn't score until the fourth quarter, meanwhile. The bench disparity was drastic. Brunson, a 3. The Knicks shot 33% from 3. They're up 3 times 3. That's 9. And then Brunson.
That's 9.
It's going to go ahead and hit this floater. You'll float too, man. We all float down here. Knicks 50% or better from the floor for the 5th straight playoff game. 33 points for Brunson as he gets a couple more right there. And then off a Tyrese Maxey miss, Maxey held under 20 points. Brunson is going to find Bridges. Bridges goes for 23. The ball doesn't hit the floor. Your youth basketball coach loves it. Knicks are up 3-0. Mike Brown on Brunson being a safety valve.
His name on Snoopy Linus. He got a blanket. I'm Linus, and Jalen's my blanket. So he gets me. He helps me relax in a lot of different times throughout the course of games. But that's what great players do. They keep you poised. They make the game easier for everybody else, and they help you get through the stretch.
Came back down, 3-1. This is tough. So just going there, understanding that we can't take get it all back in one game. So win one, focus on the next one, win the next one. That should be the mentality.
Philly getting shut down by those boys from down the road at Villanova. It's the first time the Knicks